So is it clear? So is it clear the difference between limited and unlimited liability? Is it clear to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Shoham, clear?
Sir, limited liability under a key bank manager is not liable.
No,
Limited
he's not liable.
liability under a bank manager is
He's not liable.
okay.
So unlimited liability means you will get your money back. But limited liability is you may not get your money back. Unlimited liability টা actually বোঝাচ্ছে for the bank owner or bank manager. So it means that the manager or owner has unlimited liability to the account holders. So it is his responsibility to somehow pay back all the account holders. Sorry. Now, suppose we have two assets. One is a safe asset, which we call S, and the other is a risky asset. Now, if the bank manager invests in the safe asset, he's going to get 5%. But it is certain. He will neither get more nor will he get less. The risky asset has a very high rate of return, 30%. But if it succeeds, if it fails, then the asset will not yield any return. Now the probability is 10% of success, 90% failure. So it's basically a dud asset. It's not a good asset. And we assume that the banker pays an interest rate of 3% to account holders. Now let us see what will happen in case of unlimited liability. So that means the account holder will get the money back. Now look at it from the point of view of the bank owner or manager. If he invests in S, what is his profit? 5% minus 3%, 2%, right? And it is certain. If he invests in R, then the returns depends upon whether the project succeeds or not. If it succeeds, the profit is, sorry, it should be 27%. The profit should be 27% with a probability of 0.10. But if the project fails, then return is 0. The shareholders will get interest of 3%. So minus 3, and the probability is 0.9. So what is the expected profit? Probability into your returns. And you can see that this is 0. So if he invests in the safe project, he will get a return of 2%. If he invests in R, his expected profit is 0. Which one should he invest?
S.
S.
In S.
Yeah. So he should invest in S. Okay. Achha. Now, if you have limited liability, so in this case, if the banker invests in S, there's no change. he's going to get 2%. If he invests in R and the project succeeds, then the rate of return is 27%. এখানে একটু ভুল হয়ে গেছে। So his returns is 27% with a probability of 0.1. If he fails, see, this is limited liability. He does not have to repay the account holders. ঠিক আছে? So in the earlier case, it was 0.9 into -3. Now it is 0.9 into 0. So the expected profit is 2.7. So which investment is better?
R.
R is better, even though there's a risk that the account holders are going to lose their money. Okay. So what happened was, in all these countries, the Southeast, in the East Asian countries, artificial bubbles were created in the share market. People started investing in companies which had very high share prices, but very poor fundamentals. So when the share market was in a boom, you're investing in a bad company, but its price is rising. So that means you are going to get positive returns. Now, in order to encourage this booming share market, the government assured account holders that, look, if there's some problem, then I'm going to repay the money on behalf of the bank. So this means you have a limited liability model. The bankers don't have to repay the customers. As a result, what happened was artificial bubbles were created. If you take soap water and you blow at them, you'll have huge bubbles. They grow larger and larger. The problem is, if you prick them even slightly, they're going to burst. And this is what happened. When the
You want
share
to
market,
repeat that again once, please?
okay,
So your voice was actually completely glitchy. Actually, the thing is that
okay,
pura cut
yeah,
diya
it's
hai.
answerable. আচ্ছা, তোমাদের তো আবার দুজন জয়েন করেছে, বিদীপ্তা রে। I'll quickly go through the beginning of from the beginning. See, what we have is, we have two assets. We have a
It's still
safe
glitchy,
asset.
sir. It's still
Your
absolutely
voice is very.
Okay.
নাও হয়ে গেছে, ছবি তুলে নিচ্ছি।
Is this clear?
right now it is, but it's getting like really scarily glitchy. You know, once in a while, it's scary how glitchy it's getting.
Who is scaring whom?
No. Like sometimes your glitches are sounding very horrific. You know, like it's pretty scary.
My right.
मैंने not normally, but sometimes when the connection is like, you know, hindered, then it's happening.
Okay. So I'll try to be less scary, though the topic is a bit frightening. So what we have is, we have
Sure, sir.
two assets, right? And we are calling them safe and risky asset. The safe asset has a certain rate of return, which is 5%. The risky asset, well, because it is risky, you will either get a high rate of return, or you're going to get a low rate, zero return with a high probability of 0.9. So this is the probability. This is your high return.
Your voice is
So
glitchy.
scary. So we can't hear you.
No, I'm not speaking now.
মাঝে মাঝেই হচ্ছে, মানে আপনি কথা বলছেন হঠাৎ করে এরকম ভয়েসটা। এখন হচ্ছে না, বাট মানে আপনি এই যে এটা বোঝাচ্ছেন রিস্কি হ্যাজ আ হাই রেট অফ রিটার্ন, তখন হঠাৎ করে দ্য ভয়েস টার্ন গ্লিচি and again it turned back normal, again it turns glitchy, মানে the frequency wave
Okay.
is actually fluctuating.
Okay, so I'll try to maintain a steady and certain frequency. Okay. Okay, so is this slide clear? You have two assets and you have a savings account rate of 3%. So
এই ব্যাংকারটা কি ম্যানেজার?
হ্যাঁ, this is a bank. ব্যাংকে যে ডিসিশন নিচ্ছে।
সে দেবে।
So if he invests in S, he will have to pay, he will get back 5%, but he will have to pay 3%. So it is, the banker's profit is 2%. If he invests in R, his profit is 27%, but the probability is 0.10. If R fails, then the return will be -3. It is 0 minus 3, right? And this has a probability of 0.9. So because this is a stochastic return, we have to take the expected profit, P1x plus P2 x2. So this is 0. এটা হচ্ছে P1, এটা হচ্ছে P1 minus P1, এটা x1, এটা হচ্ছে x2. So it is 0, and we can see that S will give him a higher return. So it is A. He will invest in S. If you have limited liability, then the S part is remaining same. The difference is over here. If the project fails, the bank does not have to repay the account holders. So that means this part is not -3, it is 0. So as a result, the expected profit from R is 2.7. And
So
in this,
can you repeat this part?
okay, so if he invests in R and the project succeeds, his profit will be 27%. Sorry,
17%, I guess.
no, এটা ভুল হয়েছে, এটা 30, sorry, আমার typo হয়েছিল. So he's going to get 30% minus 3%, which is 27%. Clear? And the associated probability is 10.10. So 0.10 into 27. Achha, if he fails, the probability is 0.9. If he fails, he gets a return of 0. But his advantage is he doesn't have to repay the account holders also. Okay. So in the previous case, it was 0 minus 3. Now it is 0 minus 0. Is this clear? So that is why we can drop this part and we have only the first component, 2.7. Therefore, now,
So here the government pays the account holders, right? If it fails.
yes, but a banker doesn't pay. আমি যদি আমাকে যদি দিতে না হয়, আমি তো এটাকে 0 ধরবো।
Okay.
The fact that the government is paying keeps you happy. You are the account holder, you are happy. But in my calculation, I'll put 0. So the bank will invest in R. Now, what happened was in this case, you have a situation when it is better to invest in R. You have a situation of limited liability. So people started, the banks and other financial institutions started investing in risky assets. Companies with very poor fundamentals, so that means they are going to fail in the long run, but we expect their share prices to go up to a certain point. After that, it is going to fall. And this is exactly what happened. When the share markets was in a boom, so prices were rising, that means you can get away with the investment. You're getting an interest in return of 30%. So everyone is happy. The government doesn't have to pay. Bankerai takata দিয়ে দিচ্ছে. Once depression started, then what happened? Once the share markets fail, the return is no longer 30%. It is 0. So banks started to fail. What it means is that if you're going to the bank and asking for money, the banks will be unable to return your deposits. Now, if this happens in one bank or in one branch, remember the demonetization. You didn't find money in one bank, people rush to another bank. So this, you have panic, you have fear, and this spreads like a contagion. So that means, let us suppose you have two banks. One is a safe bank, one is a risky bank. In case of the risky bank, see, 10 persons go and they try to withdraw the money. But because the bank has failed, none of them get their money back. So the news spread, and now people feel that all banks are going to refuse the money. So what will happen? You have, suppose the entire UG4 has kept the money in a safe bank, but you don't know whether it is safe or risky. You have heard from, let us say, the UG6 that they went to the bank and the banks told them, we can't repay your deposits. After hearing this, what are you going to do? You will also fear for your deposits. You will also rush to the safe bank. But now all the people are going to rush, not just a few people. Now, at any point of time, even if you are running a very successful business, what the banks actually do is, if you have invested 100 rupees, out of 100 rupees, they know that every day, in an average, you're going to withdraw only 5 rupees. So they will keep 5 plus something, about 10 rupees in the bank. And they're going to invest the remaining 90%. Now what is happening is, all the people are rushing to the banks and they are going to withdraw not 5 rupees in a normal day, but the entire deposit. Now, even if you have invested in a safe bank, the problem is that the money is locked in. You have invested the money in a fixed deposit, or you have purchased a 10-year bond. So the banks don't have any cash with them. So what will happen is, even the safe banks will say that, look, I'm sorry, but I don't have enough cash. So this is called run on banks. People run to the banks and try to withdraw their entire deposits. So first, in the first step, the share market fell. Then the risky banks started to fall. And in the third step, there was contagion and a run on banks, and even the safe banks started to fall. So the entire financial sector got destroyed. And this transmitted from one country to another through the foreign exchange market. But that is a different story. Now, this
Sir, can you please repeat the steps?
the first is the share market. Instead of a boom, you have a slump. So you had purchased a very the shares of a very bad company, which possibly doesn't even have any assets, just because its price was going up. Now all the prices are falling. So what will happen? Your net worth will start falling. You have 1,000 shares, which you had brought at maybe 5,000 rupees. Now the share price has become only 5 rupees. So how much money do you have? Almost nothing. So in the first step, what happens is the share markets get destroyed. Now, who are the banks which have invested in these assets or in these shares? The risky banks. So the risky banks will now start to fail. Some people will go to them and they will say, look, we don't have enough cash with us. We can't pay you. This will spark off a panic, which will spread like contagion. And now what will happen is, even the safe banks, what is the problem with safe banks? Your money is intact, it's safe, but it is tied up in a long-term asset, which is not liquid. So that means you cannot reconvert your asset back to money. It will take time. You will get your money back, but after 10 years or after 5 years. Okay. So when you go to the safe bank, all the people are going, all the account holders are going, and they are saying that, look, you must repay back whatever we have deposited. So if I have deposited 1 lakh with you, please return me 1 lakh. Yes. Now what do the banks actually do? It's a principle with the banks that they will, they know that every day there's a certain amount of deposit, plus people will, in a normal day, people will withdraw not the entire money, but only a certain part. When you think of it, when your parents get salaries, on the first day of the bank, do they withdraw the entire money? Or do they withdraw part of it?
Part of it.
Part of it. Then maybe after 10 days, 15 days, they withdraw another part. So they withdraw money in small installments. Therefore, the bank need not keep the entire money. They can invest it and just keep enough money to meet the regular day-to-day transactions. But this is an exceptional case. You're withdrawing your entire money at one go. And it's just not you also, it's all the people. So even the safe bank will be unable to meet the demands of all the people. And they are also going to fail. So first, the share market, then the banks who have invested in the risky assets, and then even the safe banks. This is the chain of failure. As a result of this, the entire financial structure gets destroyed. And then what happened was this financial failure transmitted between countries through the foreign exchange markets, which I'm not discussing because it's not part of moral hazard. Now, why am I calling it moral hazard? See, the customers had kept money with the banks And the assumption was that the money will be returned with an interest of 3%, right?
Yes.
Now, given the institutional setup, the banks had two options. They could either invest in R or they could invest in S. Right. If they invested in risky assets, that means there's a very good chance that customers are not going to get the money back. So customers are going to get cheated. But if you cheat the customers, you will not be punished. Okay. So this is a situation when you can undertake something which is against the interest of your customers and you will not be punished for it. You can cheat the customers without being punished. So this is the situation of moral hazard.
Thank you.
Okay. Now some other examples, one or two examples. One is group production. See, very often, this is a problem in socialist economies, for instance. Suppose a group is given a work and within the group, one person free rides. He doesn't do the work properly. Now, if I don't observe you daily, it's not possible for me to know who is this one person who is not working. Right. At the end of the period, I find that I'd ask you to produce 1,000 units. You have produced only 900 units. But I cannot identify the person who is responsible for this. Okay. Now, one way is to monitor the group. But if I try to monitor the group, I can either hire someone to watch them, an overseer. This will have a cost. The cost is less if I have this closed circuit camera, but even that will have a cost with it. Okay. So this is a case where you have hidden action. Your actions cannot be observed. As a result, you're able to get away with cheating. Now, one possible solution is what is called peer monitoring. Peer monitoring is that the group members themselves monitor you, not someone outside. What I can say is that if you don't fulfill the quota, then I'm going to punish you. Hello?
So can you repeat peer monitoring? Your voice broke down actually.
Okay. What it is it is monitoring by the group members. So you can have external monitoring. You can have external monitoring. I hire someone to observe what you're doing. I can employ technology, this closed circuit TV. That is also external. Or I can create a situation where the group members will observe what the other people are doing. So suppose I say that, look, if your project is not good, then I'm going to give you low marks. So in that case, what will happen is, if one person is not working hard, then, well, the theory goes that you will identify him and say that, okay, this person had not worked. That is why our project is so poor. Or you had given us 1,000 units to produce, but this person did not work. That is why we could produce only 900. Okay, so this is basically snitching. You're telling tales on your classmate. একটু সেটাকেই ভদ্রভাবে আমরা বলি peer monitoring. Is it clear?
It does not work in the sense he free rides, right?
হ্যাঁ, মানে তোমাদের গ্রুপ দিলাম, তোমাদের বললাম যে গিয়ে তোমরা ঘরটা রং করো, তোমরা 9 জন বসে রং করছো, হ্যাঁ একজন বসে ক্যান্টিনে চলে গেলেন, এরকম
Okay,
একটা।
sir. Thank you.
Another case is quality of the product. Quality of the product is particularly when it is used jointly with some other product or service. The best example is again a medical example. So suppose you fall ill and you call a doctor who prescribes a medicine. Whether the medicine is successful or not depends upon 3 things. One is the medicine can be of a very poor quality, সোজা কথা জাল medicine. Now normally what happens is the producer can guarantee the product quality or the shopkeeper will guarantee the product quality. You know that this shop owner often sells fake medicine, whilst another shop owner always sells medicine of a good quality. So whom will you buy from? Obviously from the second shop owner. So we can drop this problem. Now, even if the product, the medicine is of a good quality, it will still depend upon 2 things. One, was it really relevant for you? Take the case of hydroxychloroquine. Trump wanted to buy it. India supplied it. Okay. But was it really relevant? As you know that hydroxychloroquine is a highly toxic drug and it doesn't work for corona. There was only one study with 40 patients, and even in that study, the positive effects of hydroxychloroquine was very uncertain. So in this case, the producer is not at fault. Who is at fault? The doctor. He has recommended a medicine which is not appropriate for the disease. Third is the patient. Suppose you go for take a different disease and the doctor prescribes an appropriate medicine, but you don't follow his advice. So we have a diabetic patient, the doctor prescribes insulin, you take the insulin, but you also taken plenty of sweets, alcohol, and so on. Remember, there was a story about the patient. The doctor told him that, okay, you're an alcoholic, so I won't stop alcohol, but I will restrict your alcohol to 1 glass every day. And you must also take this medicine, 1 pill every night, and report to me after 14 days. So after 14 days, the patient came back and the doctor said, have you been following my advice? He said, partially. How? Well, doctor, I'm a little behind in the medicine, but I'm 6 months ahead in the with regard to drinking alcohol. So here what we have is the patient is not following the advice of the doctor. That is why the medicine will not work. Now, if you have knowledge, you can observe the patient In other words, if you have complete information, then you can attribute the failure of a medicine to either of these three causes. You have brought bad medicine, the medicine was not relevant, the doctor is at fault, or the patient did not take the medicine properly. But if you cannot observe them, if you cannot observe the patient, if you cannot observe, assess whether the doctor is giving you good advice or not, in that case, you will not be able to attribute whose fault it is. Why is the medicine not effective? Okay. So in case of group production, quality of a product, it becomes very difficult to attribute or identify what is the reason for the failure. And underlying this failure is asymmetric information. Now, in the last two slides, I'm going to consider another problem, which is called asset specificity. And then I'm going to discuss how the problem can be solved. But I'm going to end the meeting now. It's 2 minutes is left. Please log back in.